Good afternoon, everyone. I am, again, Pastor Wade Orsini of Apologia Church here in South Jordan. Today I want to stir you all up by way of reminder. You see, we stand near monuments, halls, and courts in the state capitol here, and they're often all week full of our state's leadership, political leadership. We can often be in awe of what we see, maybe in Washington, D.C. or other state capitals, the places where justice is carried out and law is defined. But I am here to remind us all that there is a king. There is a king, and that king rivals all earthly magistrates, royalty, and political leaders. He is and always will be king. He is the matchless and magnificent King Jesus Christ. And King Jesus, according to the Holy Scriptures, was given a dominion, a kingdom, and as Matthew 28 says, all authority. His rule and reign knows no bounds, my friends. It has no limits. It proceeds forth from his throne in heaven and touches everything in the seen and unseen realms. He commissioned the apostles, and by extension, all believers, to proclaim the gospel, the truth of salvation in him. That Jesus lived out the law in perfection, and he satisfied the demands of divine wrath and judgment that the Father had against the people. And he rose again, conquering death and the grave, being the first fruits of the resurrection. And this king, the word says, ascended into heaven. And 1 Corinthians 15 says, he must reign until all enemies are put under his feet. And here's the thing. Jesus Christ is King and Lord regardless of people's recognition of that. He is King and Lord regardless. He calls all peoples everywhere to bow their knee by faith to him now and in allegiance to him, or lest they on the last day be crippled under the fear of the Lord on their knees for mercy. We are either with Jesus or against him. In Matthew 12, verse 30, Jesus says, he who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters. His words are timeless, my friends. He is declaring all these words to all of us, to all of you. Pro-life, not pro-life. Be with me. Join my lot, Jesus says. As this holy king rules with not only a scepter and a crown, he rules with a law. He is not a lawless Christ. He is not an antinomian Christ. He is a king with a law. And this law trumps all other laws of our earthly domain. His sixth commandment says, you shall not murder. You shall not murder. And this royal law is to the benefit of all human beings, all made in the image and likeness of their Creator. Babies, those who are unborn, those in the womb, those are amongst them as well. Those in the womb are made in the image and likeness of their Creator. Babies have had their fair share of mention in God's Word even. Some men were consecrated in their mother's womb before they were even born. John the Baptist leaped in Elizabeth's womb as he approached Jesus in the womb of Mary. When the barren wombs of Sarah and Hannah were filled with babies by the Lord, it was a great promise of things to come. And the psalmist in Psalm 139 writes in a way also on our behalf and on behalf of the unborn that God has intimately known and formed us in our mother's womb, and that in itself is a right to life and the benefits of it. You see, Jesus wasn't pretending to be neutral, and we won't either. We can't anymore. We ask these people, we hope they see these videos later. We ask everyone in this state to not pretend to be neutral anymore, to join us, to stop pretending. These babies, they're dying every day in our community. They're dying right outside our doors. And we can't just hold a political opinion to end it anymore. You can't just simply call yourself pro-life and expect anything to happen. We've got to take action. We've got to do something. And I think the gospel demands that. The gospel demands that we step out and we walk what we've actually talked, right? The pro-life industry has confused and hurt us, pro-lifers, in many ways far too long. They have partaken in striking down legislation in states that would put an all-out end to this great crime, to this abomination. They don't represent us anymore. We want those who will fight for the unborn and who see that there is not another minute to waste. We can't tarry any longer. Every day we tarry and more babies die in this country and in this state. Because every minute that goes by is another unborn child climbing death row. Another moment, another child, another moment, another day, another child. Our laws in Utah have allowed men and women to take their children to a hired assassin to murder their child. We're not going to sugarcoat this anymore, right, folks? It isn't a mistake. It isn't a choice. It's murder. We're going to use the right language because Christians use correct language, correct terms. And as Utahns, we won't stand for the wrong treatment and slaughter of any people group, right? We won't stand for the slaughter of any people group, especially those in the womb. The laws in place here are not good enough, my friends. They're not good enough. They allow for this great evil to persist. And as my brother Chris says, Proverbs 17 says, "He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord." People in place of political power justify the wicked as they seek to keep this great injustice legal, and then they condemn those of us who are trying to fight against it. Surely we are in similar days as the Judeans, as God speaks through the prophet Isaiah and says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil." Are we not in that day, my friends? They call evil good and good evil. We won't let them do that anymore. Again, we're going to define the terms. We won't stand for it any longer. And all those who say they are pro-life, all those who say they fear God, I ask you to join us in taking the only right position and posture towards abortion. And that's to see it ended. That in all cases, of all circumstances, this great modern Holocaust must end. Because here's the deal, the King is coming. The King is coming one day. And how will we answer him on that day of his arrival if we plead neutrality? Because Psalm 2 says, "Kiss the Son. Kiss the Son. Bow to his rule or perish." There's nothing in between. Bow to King Jesus or perish. Neighbors, join us in the only true pro-life position, equal protection for the unborn, and total abolishment of abortion altogether. We won't settle for less, right? All glory be to God. Thank you.